Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Greg. Welcome to the channel, greg.thunderwizard.com if you'd like a Thunder Astrology reading or a 9-world rune reading. And so the last time I made a video, I was preparing to move from Los Angeles, 100 miles away, up into the mountains, 8,000 feet up into the mountains. And here I am. And this isn't the mountains right here, but this is a tapestry right here. But yeah, so I made the move. And I'm really glad I did because it's really nice and peaceful out here. You know, there's people around. Everybody's pretty positive around here from what I've experienced so far. But yeah, I'm living in a cottage, so none of my walls are connected to anybody else's like I was in Los Angeles. So I'm getting a lot of nice sleep. I'm getting to concentrate more when I do my mantras and my rituals, when I do my qigong. Right now I'm facing the west, which is the street is right over there. Right here behind me, the east, is my front door. It's right over here. It's facing the opposite way. And I'm in the middle. There's another cottage in front of me and there's one behind me. There's two empty cottages over here in my property, but they look like they're like getting fixed. They're not ready for somebody to move in. And in between us is the parking lot. But yeah, just like any residential neighborhood, there's there's a property and then another property and then another property. So right to my south over here is a property, and then I got my property right here. Then over here to the north, there's not a property. There's an empty spot, and it's just land, and there's a bunch of pine trees right in the front. There's like 20 pine trees, and they're really tall trees. And next to that is another property and so on and so on. And across the street, there's a bunch of properties too. So, but what's really great is that I got this empty lot right here, right next to my back door right here, my side door. Yeah, so I got this nature right there, And as I'm looking out the front right here, I got trees right over here too, pine trees. And man, they feel really good. It feels really nice being here. I'm loving this energy that I'm feeling right here. The first week that I got here, I did end up getting sick. I caught a cold, and I was like, oh man, now I'm all drained of energy, and I'm really tired, and I got all of this furniture that I got to move around, and I want to set up everything, in a certain proper order. I just don't have the energy to do it, but I ended up doing it. But I'm taking my time because I got this cold. So that first week I didn't do any yoga, I didn't lift any weights, I didn't do any qigong, I didn't do any mantra, I didn't do anything. I was just moving stuff and resting too. During that whole move, I was getting a little bit of sleep. I was getting like five hours mainly a day as I was preparing to move. And so I was catching up on sleep, and I got sick, and now I'm all drained of energy too. Yeah, after that first week, I got everything set up, and then I decided okay, now I'm going to start. Now that I got my altar set up, my altar's facing the west. That's where my the deity that I do the mantra to is in the sign of Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. So that's why I face the west. And I got my altar all set up. I got everything to go. I got the space to do some yoga, lift some weights, do qigong, and do my mantra. So I did that. I did it on a night. I waited till about 10:30 p.m., which I usually do, and I did the qigong. I did the mantra, and when I was in Los Angeles, I was spending time out in nature out there. When I first got into the Thunder Wizard path, I decided to go out there and get my power stones to put in each of the directions of the thunder wheel. When I open it up, I put the rocks on the floor. And I had a little mini thunder wheel as well in in the northeast direction of my home, and which was little rocks for the 8 directions, and the one in the center. And I got some little pebbles just around it, so it looks kind of, it looks nice. The first time I did that though, I went and got some rocks, the small ones, and they ended up being a little too big. So I just put them in a sandwich bag and I put them away, and I was like, I'm just going to use these for a later time. I'm going to put them back. I'm going to go to Griffith Park and I'm going to put them back in my spot that I got them from. And I had also gotten these 4 little pieces of branches that I was going to use too. I can't even remember what I was going to use those for, but same thing. I put those in a sandwich bag and I saved those, and I ended up never taking them back. So when I was moving, I had them, and I was like, well, let me just bring them with me. And when I go hiking out here, I'll kind of drop those. I'll drop those pebbles and those branches in nature up here. So there's that connection between that nature spot that I was in and then the nature spots that I'm now spending time in. I just wanted that energy out there just to let it know, hey, I want to connect. I want to connect out here as well. That first night that I did that qigong and ritual, I had another idea. It's like, why don't I take those rocks? There was 22 rocks and those 4 branches, and I'll put them around my home. What I'll do is I'll start in the north. I'll get the 4 branches and I'll put one in the north, east, south, and west around the home. And as I'm doing that, I'll just kind of just start dropping the pebbles as I go around the home. So I decided to do that. I was like, that sounds like a good idea. I'll have that part of nature around the house. And, sometimes people do some kind of like blessings of their homes. They kind of, get the negative energy out. So I kind of seen it as something like that as well. So I decided to do that. So I went out my side door right here, which faces the north already. And I started out there. I dropped the first branch, and I was dropping rocks, dropped the branches on the east, south, and the west. So when I got over to the west and I dropped that last branch there, I was walking back to the north over here. And I stopped around in the northwest direction. All of those pine trees are right there, and it's midnight. That's when I decided to do this. The only lights on the street is the moon. And, there's enough trees that block certain spots of the moon's shining illumination onto the surface of the ground and the trees. So there was I stopped in the northwest because I seen an animal. It was right there, like within 5 feet of me. I finally seen it because it's so dark that I finally noticed, okay, there's a figure right there. And it was about the size of a dog, not too big, but it looked furry. I noticed it had a bushy tail, and I was like, what is that? I was kind of calm. But I was kind of like, what is that? What's going on here? I got to stand my ground here as well. I wasn't being too typical of a human being where just like, get out of here. I just stood there really calmly. I was already calm from doing the qigong and the mantra. And yeah, I was looking at it, and I looked at it long enough for it moved into the light of the moon where I could see it now. And then I noticed that it had I could see the black mask around its eyes, and I was like, oh, it's a raccoon, And it kind of, once it got into the light, it just kind of stood there and still looked at me. I couldn't really see its eyes. It's still really dark, but I can see the mask. And, I looked at it and I was like, wow, what a trip. Kind of said hello to it in a energetic way, putting out a good vibe, hello. And it just looked at me for a little bit, very calmly, looked at me for like 5-10 seconds, and then it just kind of slowly just kept walking away. I was like, wow, that was a cool experience. So, I kind of got that feeling that it kind of noticed what I was doing. It noticed or felt that I'm connecting with energy in some kind of way. Maybe when I stepped out of the house in the first place in the north, when I started dropping the branches and the stones, it was out there already. So it saw me. And it saw me, being really patient. And, I'm keeping in mind the directions I'm facing and what they represent as I'm walking around the home. And, I've had these experiences with animals before and birds where they kind of seem to acknowledge and recognize that a human being is out in nature connecting with everything, wanting to feel that energy, wanting to reconnect with that family connection with nature, with the trees, with the soil. Most human beings are not in that state of mind. Most human beings will just shoo away an animal the minute they see it. They'll throw something at it or whatever, or yell at it, or if it's a really threatening big animal, I guess there's reason for that. A bear or a mountain lion, I don't know. But, yeah, these animals. I mean, I've encountered coyotes before. And they've come really close to me. I didn't feel threatened by them, but I did feel like maybe I got to defend myself. You never know. But at the same time, I'm giving them a chance and checking them out. You know, so I've had these experiences. But yeah, I just wanted to say that these animals, they really do feel your connection when you're really trying to connect with nature. And that was just a really cool experience. So I checked out the totem animal, the raccoon, and it is a trickster type of a totem. I'm not recalling too much of the characteristic traits right now. That was like 2 weeks ago, but they do have they're scavengers. They go out and scavenge things, and there's always one raccoon, the leader, that's like the lookout. And when the other raccoons scavenge, they'll always give the food to the lookout. So it's like bringing people together. Looking out for people, acknowledging people. They're protectors as well, and they do have that trickster vibe too, which is really cool. I've Coyote is one of my animal totems. That's a trickster. Rahu is my Ishta Devata, meaning it represents my conscious self, the heart area. That has to do with Loki, who's a trickster god as well. So I felt those connections. I'm like, okay, that's really cool. I'm gonna start doing some meditation on the raccoon as well. You know, so that's another animal totem of mine that I could learn from. And then the very next night, same thing. I did a mantra, qigong. I went outside over here to the north around midnight, and I'm not actually walking into those pine trees. Did I say all the pine trees are situated in the front of the land, in the front towards the street? There's about 20 of them, 20 pine trees right there. And so I'm thinking, I better not. I'm not going to walk inside of those pine trees, because if I do that at midnight and somebody else in this residential area kind of looks out or walks out or sees somebody standing in those trees, they'll be suspicious. Like, what is that guy doing? It can look like somebody's scoping out homes. Like a burglar, somebody trying to break into a place to see which one is the best one to do. So I haven't done that. All I've done is just stand outside of out of my back door right here, my side door, and still I could feel the energy of those trees. So that's what I did. The second night I went out there again, and I was just standing out there. This time the moon was completely blocked. It must have been blocked by trees, because over here when I look up to the sky, I could see all those stars. It's so many stars I could see out here. It's beautiful. I mean, it's hundreds of stars out there. It's amazing how many you can see on a clear day out here. But over here towards the ground on the pine trees, it's complete darkness. So I was just, all of a sudden I could hear something walking by, and I'm looking, and again, like 5 feet in front of me, I'm seeing something walking by, and I could finally make out the bushy tail. I was like, oh, it's that raccoon again, or maybe it's a different raccoon. I don't know. But this time it just kept walking by. Then a few seconds later, another raccoon is right behind him or her, and it just walked by, and both of them just walked by. They crossed the street, and the home across the street right here has one of those light sensors that senses movement, so it turns on whenever something passes by. So the light turned on, and I could see that, yeah, indeed, there was 2 raccoons. So that was cool, and it's just really nice to be spending time out here. I'm really loving the energy out here. It's so great. I'm getting peaceful night's sleep. The ritual, when I'm doing my rituals and mantras, I'm not getting distracted by anybody. My other home was just noisy. I had people living above me. They were the noisiest ones. Now I don't have that. I was wearing earplugs when I was at that home to try and block out their noise at 2, 3, 4 in the morning. Loud noises they were making, like they're literally dropping heavy pieces of furniture onto their floor. I was like, man, good thing I'm moving, because they moved in about a week into their moving. That's when I was like, I'm ready to move out of here. I was making those decisions, thinking about that. Then I talked to the Thunder Wizard, and yeah, that was the decision that I decided to make. But if I wasn't going to move out, I was going to have to say something to them. It's like, geez, they're very ignorant of the time of night And the fact that they're living on the second story, you know, there's people under you, and they're making all these loud noises. Like, geez, don't respect your neighbors, you know. Whatever. But yeah, I'm glad to be out of there, you know, and you know, hope everybody out there where I used to live wakes up, you know, whenever they feel the need to, you know. So yeah, I just wanted to give an update on what's going on, and yeah, I want to start making videos again. I want to start talking about the spirituality that I love and the things that I'm learning, and the progress that I'm making on this path of really living, you know, our true soul's joy. You know, that's when I want to help people wake up to that as well. You know, so if you're interested in getting a Thunder Astrology reading, these connect you to a deity based on your own personal chart. And there's a certain direction that you're going to face, and there's a certain offering that you'll get based on that direction. And you start doing that mantra, and you start really connecting. You know, you really start opening your mind up to that energy. You really get charged up, and things start happening. Your intuition starts to enhance. Your energetic level really starts to increase. You got to make room for that energy within yourself, meaning that you have to get rid of old habits, bad habits that no longer suit you. It'll take some time, but the more you keep on that road and acknowledge, you know, any feelings, any thoughts that you have, the more you do that, the more you're going to really start to progress, and you'll start to feel better in the long run. So yeah, if anybody wants those Thunder Astrology readings or a 9-world rune reading as well, those give you a snapshot of energy that's going on in your life. It could show you some future energy as well. Just go to greg.thunderwizard.com, and I hope you guys have a good one. Peace.